Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal has wrapped up his twin tour to the US and China. The visit this time has been largely successful as the Prime Minister, according to international experts, has fulfilled one of the objectives of garnering international support to conclude the process of transitional justice back home. Upon his arrival in the capital today, Prime Minister Dahal viewed that the objective of his visit to the US and China was fulfilled. Good evening, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal wraps up his twin tour to the US and China. Premier calls his visit largely successful at creating an environment of mutual trust at the political level. Prison cells across the country filled with culprits charged of heinous crimes. 68% out of 27,000 sentenced for murder, rapes, drug transfer, among others. Severe rainfall batter New York City, causing widespread disruptions as subways and airports experience operational issues as roads remain waterlogged. And host China continues its dominant show at the 19th Asian Games, leapfrogs the medal tally with 108 goals. Japan in second place with 28 gold medals. Nepal's poor show continue. Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal has stated that his visit to China was successful and has created an environment of mutual trust at the political level. Speaking to reporters at the Tribhuvan International Airport upon his arrival in Kathmandu from his China visit today, Prime Minister Dahal said that the visit has helped the relation between Nepal and China reach a new height. Premier Dahal informed that during his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader committed that China would extend support to Nepal's effort in developing the country and expand socio-economic cooperation. Prime Minister Dahal also said that while he was in Beijing, he had urged Chinese investors to invest in Nepal. He also said that positive discussions were held regarding direct flights to the international airports in Bhairawa and Pokhara from China. Likewise, Premier Dahal also said that during bilateral talks with Chinese Prime Minister Li Keqiang, intensive discussions were held on electricity transmission lines, solar energy, road construction and upgrade, reopening border trade transits, infrastructure development, among other issues. Prime Minister Dahal also informed that 12 bilateral agreements were inked during his visit to China. Likewise, Premier Dahal said that at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, he had drawn the attention of the international community regarding taking Nepal's peace process to a logical conclusion. Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal, after returning from his visit to China, said that the visit was successful and has created an environment of mutual trust at the political level. However, progress was not made regarding issues including implementation of China's Belt and Road Initiative BRI, energy trade, China using Nepal's old map while issuing its new map. On 22nd of September last month, Prime Minister Dahal held discussions with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Hangzhou. Premier Dahal also held important political discussions with his Chinese counterpart Li Keqiang, chairman of China's National People's Congress, among other Chinese leaders. Prime Minister Dahal also informed that 12 bilateral agreements and an understanding were reached during his visit to China. An agreement was inked to connect the Chilime substation and link the 220 kV transmission line. Likewise, the Chinese side agreed to provide electricity to Jumla's northern region, operate traditional trade centers between the two countries, expedite the feasibility study of the Geelong-Kerung cross-border railway, among others. However, discussions were not held regarding converting the loan taken to construct the Pokhara International Airport into aid. Prime Minister Dahal could not present a clear view regarding flights either. During Premier Dahal's visit to China, it was informed that an important decision would be taken regarding China's Belt and Road Initiative BRI. However, serious discussions were not held in this regard. Although the Chinese side showed eagerness in reaching an agreement regarding energy trade, the Nepali side didn't show any interest. It is clear that some issues couldn't move forward due to Prime Minister Dahal's view that Nepal's relations with India would be affected if Nepal got too close to China. Many people have said that Premier Dahal has failed to take advantages of the opportunities. Prior to the visit to China, Premier Dahal had committed of raising the issue of Nepal's pointed map not being included in the map of China that was recently issued. Although Dahal says that the issue was raised, the Chinese side does not seem in a position to accept Nepal's new map. Many people have also claimed that Premier Dahal's visit to China has established a balanced relation. Meanwhile, at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, Prime Minister Dahal had made efforts to garner international support to conclude the peace process of transitional justice back home. Nepal's criminal code has a provision to punish every crime. The system of sentencing a criminal is done with a view to provide justice to the victims and improve the moral conduct of the jailed inmates. However, our prison houses have failed to fulfill the twin objectives. Nepalganj's Rigal Dhakal, who was provided presidential pardon on the occasion of the Constitution Day on 20th of September earlier this month, was serving life sentence on charges of killing a social campaigner in broad daylight. Even while serving his jail term, he was charged of involving in the transfer of drugs. Likewise, Abhishek Giri is another character who was in the limelight while serving sentence on charges of kidnapping. Then Home Minister Balkrishna Khan had abused his power to transfer Giri to the prison house at his home district in Morang. Meanwhile, majority of the prison houses across the country are filled with prisoners well beyond their capacity. The overcrowding had resulted in a scuffle in Sankhwa Sabha that eventually led to the deaths of 2 jail inmates about a month and a half ago. The recent protests held at some of the juvenile centers in Bhaktapur to Parsa and Banke further highlight the grim scenario. There are over 27,400 jail inmates in prison cells across the country. 68% of these prisoners are serving jail terms for heinous crimes including rape, murder, abduction, transfer of drugs, among others. We'll take a short break here. We have more news coming up. Resident doctors struck a 6-point agreement with the government earlier this evening. Doctors had been hitting the streets demanding for the assurance of their security at workplaces. The agreement states that the act related to the security of doctors and health workers will be strictly implemented. The government has also expressed commitment for the security management of doctors and other staff at hospitals across the country. The agreement has also been struck to initiate action against culprits who are responsible for manhandling doctors. The agreement paper has been signed by Acting Secretary at the Ministry of Health and Population, Dipendra Raman Singh, on behalf of the government, and Dr. Sheshraj Ghimire on behalf of the agitating doctors. Earlier today, the doctors had gathered at Maitighar and chanted various slogans during the protest rally that ended in New Baneshwar, saying that the incidents of attack against the doctors have increased in recent time. Resident doctors had been protesting since last Tuesday. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. But before that, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked you, what should be done to ease the public's movement during festivals? 50% voted for A, provide adequate facilities, 40% voted for B, tighten monitoring, and 10% voted for C, make existing facilities active. And here's today's question. Why have government offices failed to become technology friendly? Your options are A, lack of willpower, B, no resources, and C, lack of technical knowledge. The voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And now moving on to international news. Severe rainfall battered New York City yesterday, causing widespread disruptions as subways and airports experienced significant issues while roads turned to waterways. The downpour is attributed to remnants of tropical storm Ophelia. The storm brought heavy downpours and unrelenting winds last weekend to New York City and caused widespread power outages in nearby areas. The unprecedented downpour saw ports of saw parts of Brooklyn experience almost 7 inches of rain and nearly 8 inches at JFK Airport, breaking records set in 1960 by Hurricane Donna. Earlier, State of New York Governor Kathy Hochul and New York City Mayor Eric Adams declared states of emergency and urged people to stay indoors if possible. The rains especially hit the boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens hard with major flooding. Emergency services asked people living in basement apartments or flood-prone areas to prepare to move to higher ground. In September 2021, Hurricane Ida caused widespread flooding, trapping several people in basement apartments, killing 13. Although no deaths have been reported from this storm, the city continues to be on high alert. Some residents said they got no warning about the flooding from officials. Residents claim that neighborhood meetings with city officials, which aimed to make their area less prone to flooding, have borne no result. According to climate scientists, global warming has resulted in more extreme weather patterns in many parts of the world. Systems producing intense rainfalls have become more commonplace in many parts of the United States, including the New York City area, in recent years. It's time now for another short break. We'll be right back. It's time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
Nepal's poor performance at the Asian Games continued today as well. Nepal's Deepak Adhikari created a national record at the 10,000-meter run held at the Hangzhou Olympic Center. However, Deepak could only finish 7th with a timing of 28 minutes 35.06 seconds. Likewise, Nepal's Tikamaya Gurung crashed out of the 55 kg weightlifting. Tikamaya lifted 60 kilograms in the snatch and 86 kilograms in the clean and jerk for a combined weight of 146 kilograms. She could only finish 3rd in the group to crash out of the games. Nepal's challenge at the women individual triathlon also ended as Shrebi Maharjan finished 17th out of the total 21 contestants. The women's volleyball team also lost to Vietnam in the preliminary round today. Vietnam won the match in straight sets 25-4, 25-16, 25-13. Nepal's Sukrabadur Rai, who had reached the 3rd round, also failed to progress to the round of 16. Nepal also tasted a heavy loss of 9-14 against India in the men's handball. In esports, Nepal lost to Kyrgyzstan in the Dota 2 match. Nepal failed to progress past the semifinal at the Peace Elite Asian Games version PUBG in the match played this morning. Nepal's boxing team is also going to return empty-handed from the 19th Asian Games. Amid lackluster performance, Nepal's medal hopes were pinned on boxing event. Nepal's last boxing medal hope, Saraswati Rana, went down to Vietnam's Diem Lu in the under 75 kg weight category. Saraswati lost 1-4 to crash out of the quarterfinal. A total of 12 boxers had participated at the 19th Asian Games, with only Rabin Thapa and Saraswati Rana clearing the first round. Nepal also had significant hopes of bagging medals in Taekwondo, but the discipline failed to produce any medals. Host China have continued to dominate the 19th Asian Games as they take a huge lead in the medals tally with the end of the 8th day of the mega sporting event today. China lead the medals tally, bagging 114 gold medals, 68 silver and 34 bronze to secure a total of 216 medals. In our Public Voice segment today, we have asked people in several provinces what should be done to improve Nepal's performance in international tournaments. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय लेभलको मैत्रीपूर्ण म्याचहरु गराउन सक्यौं भने उनीहरुको इन्टरनेशनल र नेशनल लेभलको एउटा उनीहरुको कन्फिडेन्स लेभल बढ्छ।
प्रशिक्षकहरु राम्रो राम्रो हुनु पर्यो।
स्कुल स्तरदेखि एकदम खेल चाहिँ उत्थान गर्नुपर्छ।
खेलाडीहरुको मनोबल उच्च गर्न पर्यो, उनीहरुलाई हरेक कुरामा इन्करेज गर्न पर्यो।
सरकारले खेलाडीहरुलाई पनि हौसलाको लागि केही तलब भाता राम्रो फिल गराइदिएको भए अझ उनीहरुको हौसला राम्रो हुन्थ्यो।
प्रशिक्षक चाहियो, हामीलाई तालिम चाहियो, हामीलाई खर्च चाहियो।
स्तरीय परीक्षण हुनुपर्छ, स्तरीय खेलाडी छनौट हुनुपर्छ।
एकाडेमीहरु भयो भने हरेक गेमहरुमा चाहिँ त्यसरी चाहिँ खेलाडी उत्पादन हुन सक्छ।
खेलाडी हुन भनेर उहाँहरुको लागि पनि बजेटहरु राम्रोसँग छुट्याइदिने, उहाँहरुको पनि प्रशिक्षणको लागि राम्रो व्यवस्था गरिदिने।
That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.